Hello, and welcome to our podcast, Revelation Verse by Verse, brought to you by Dr. William Stewart, the co-founder of Telios. This captivating podcast will not only impart the wonderful book of Revelation, but it will also show you how to study the Bible, so you have confidence in Scripture. Each episode will provide key points for verses in Revelation. Thanks for joining us on this exciting biblical journey.
Hi, I'm William Stewart. Welcome back to our verse-by-verse study on the book of Revelation. I'm glad you're here. Amazing chapter this time, chapter 12. We're in probably what is the last half of the 7-year tribulation. Remember, the tribulation falls between the rapture of the church, which is taken out of the way in Revelation 4:1. It's spoken about at the end of 1 Corinthians 15, and the second half of 1 Thessalonians 4. The church will not know God's wrath. And the end of the 7 years, which is when the victorious Christ comes to judge sin and to initiate the 1,000-year reign, followed by the eternal, or the new heavens and the new earth and eternity. So we start in chapter 12 today, a very interesting portion of the vision, very informative. Let's see what you think. We'll cover the first 6 verses out of the King James. Verse 1, there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet. So I think it probably the moon and the sun here represents glory. Again, you'll have to think about this yourself. So many of these images, though they represent what I believe to be real events, are clothed in imagery that we must interpret. And upon her head a crown, otherwise majesty, of 12 stars, I think representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Verse 2, and she being with child cried, travailing in birth, pain to be delivered. Verse 3, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. So this would be Satan, red meaning perhaps his own glory and power, perhaps blood, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Again, this is really used of satanic power and also of the Antichrist, we will read later. And 7 crowns upon his head. So probably 7 heads and 7 or 10 horns indicate power. And we're not sure the specifics beyond that. Some people have speculated, but again, I will leave this to you. We just don't really know, as far as I have, as far as the information I have. 7 crowns, probably rulership, authority, majesty, and at some level. And he threw down a third part of the stars of heaven, and they cast them down to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So the dragon here again, I think, is Satan. He threw, I think this is referring to 1/3 of the angels, as we know from prior scripture, down to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was to deliver her child as soon as it was born. So I think the woman here, being Israel, is the deliverance of Christ. And Israel gave birth to Christ. Satan was ready to devour it, as we know, at least from Herod the Great, when he chose or gave the order to destroy all children 2 years or younger, to try to destroy the seed. Much like Pharaoh, a type of the Antichrist, back in Israel, as he tried to destroy the seed, Moses, from progressing. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. This is reflective of Messiah in Psalms 2, verse 9. And her child was caught up to God. Otherwise, after the death and resurrection, Christ descended. He could return to heaven in glory. The end of Ephesians 1. We read this in Hebrews 1:3, Hebrews 8:1, Hebrews 10:1. I think about Hebrews 12:6. Numerous times in Scripture, in 1 Peter. and to his throne. Verse 6, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared of God, that they should feed her for 1,260 days. So I think what's happening here, we have a sort of a condensing of prophecies. So we go to Christ, his ascension, and now we have Israel fleeing into the desert. I think this is at the abomination of desolation, where it says in Matthew 24 that when this sign occurs, that Israel should immediately flee into the wilderness. And here, God takes care of them, takes care of Israel for the last half of the tribulation, 1,260 days. So we have, in a sense, a synopsis of history from Satan's rebellion and his demons, the birth of Christ, his ascension and glory, his power over death and providing salvation, to the end part of the tribulation, which at this point is Israel focused in this passage. Okay. Very interesting and informative passage. We will continue with this narrative, talking about Satan. And this next time, glad you're here today. I hope you'll be here for the next video. Goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast, Revelation Verse by Verse. We hope you found the teachings both interesting and informative. Join us next week for another exciting episode. To listen to all episodes, please visit our website, teliosresearch.com. That's TELEIOS. Thank you.